One of Family Guy's most striking characteristics is its uncanny willingness to test social boundaries as well as television censorship guidelines, accompanied by a reluctance to bend for any reason. Seth MacFarlane and the creators of Family Guy made sure to hide additional gags within the show's more noticeable jokes. Sometimes in the least expected places, additional punchlines can be found waiting for more observant viewers with a little free time on their hands to notice them. Other times these jokes are hidden in plain sight, only they happen so fast you have to hit the pause button to stop and appreciate them fully. I'm Jess from What Culture, and here are Family Guy's 10 most paused moments. Number 10. Roger, Bender, and Coach John McGuirk. Part of Family Guy's rendition of the Star Wars trilogy, the Blue Harvest installment removed the Griffin family from their familiar settings and placed them in a completely different universe. By doing so, the creators opened up a realm of opportunities to explore unconventional plotlines and plenty of fresh jokes. Family Guy didn't stop there, however. Along with the refreshing break from the show's often formulaic structure, Blue Harvest also saw cameos from other adult cartoons. In the Mos Eisley Cantina scene of Blue Harvest, viewers might have noticed Roger, the alien from American Dad, a nod to one of Seth MacFarlane's other animation ventures. After pausing the opening segment and taking a closer look though, one might notice a few more outsiders lingering in the background. Along with Roger, Bender from Futurama and Coach John McGuirk from Home Movies, for some reason, also lurked around. Even though he was a Family Guy character, the evil monkey from Chris's room was also spotted joining in on the fun. Number 9. Family Guy is a lot funnier on Adult Swim. After Fox cancelled Family Guy, Adult Swim picked up the show and a new network relationship was born. They then picked it up once again after Fox cancelled the show for the second time. Granted, Adult Swim didn't have quite the same pull as a major network like Fox, it did offer quite a few more creative freedoms and less critical censorship guidelines. While the show would return to Fox again, a unique Adult Swim bumper showed up during the episode Big Man on Hippocampus, and not just on the channel's replay of the cartoon. They moved quickly, so a viewer either needed to pay close attention or hit the pause button for a moment. The infamous bumper read, "Can I ask you something? Why are you watching this on Fox? Family Guy is a lot funnier on Adult Swim because we don't cut out the funniest jokes." You probably think you're watching this on Adult Swim now, don't you? Well, you're not. It's still Fox. Fox couldn't have been completely thrilled with the bumper, especially since it aired to many of its viewers on its own channels. Nonetheless, it was a hilarious hat tip to a network that helped out the show when it needed it the most, as well as a criticism of Fox's unfavorable executive decisions, such as banning certain episodes like partial terms of endearment. Number 8. Brown versus the Board of Education. As Peter, Joe Cleveland, and Quagmire formed their own A-team and terrorized Quahog after winning a costume contest, Lois talked Brian into going back to Brown University to finish his degree and return to The New Yorker in a 2005 episode entitled Brian Goes Back to College. During one segment, Brian and Stewie were found attending a collegiate football game. While at first glance it might have seemed like the duo was simply indulging in all that college life had to offer, there was actually an interesting cultural reference when the scoreboard appeared on the screen for a brief few seconds. It read, Brown versus the Board of Education, an obvious callback to the 1954 Supreme Court case in which the judges found the racial segregation of children in public schools to be unconstitutional. The quick gag came off as a bit strange for Family Guy, as it didn't go further with the joke. Even stranger was that Seth MacFarlane landed a deal with NBC Universal in 2020 to produce a series on the Little Rock Nine, who were the kids at the heart of the famous desegregation court case. The scoreboard joke might have been a fun play on words at the time, or perhaps MacFarlane was giving his fans an early look into one of his other interests. Number 7. Garage sale merch. In Road to Rupert, Brian Griffin accidentally sold Rupert, Stewie's favourite toy, with which he maintained a rather personal relationship and shared his deepest secrets. The mishap took place at a garage sale in the early moments of the 2007 episode, but selling Rupert wasn't the only way Brian ripped off his preschooler counterpart. Although the garage sale segment didn't spend a great deal of time focusing on the other objects for sale, it did take a moment to have Lois express how glad she would have been if all the junk had sold. Out of all the things for sale though, Lois expressed her displeasure with a stack of the same DVD the most. Calling it Stymie Gruffin: The Untold Story, Lois tore into the movie and deemed it a middle finger to the fans before two bodyguards silenced and carried her off screen. Looking closer at the cover of the DVD, it was clear that Family Guy used the bit as an opportunity to poke fun at Stewie Griffin: The Untold Story, which was criticized for not technically being a movie but a combination of 3 Family Guy episodes instead. Seth MacFarlane might have intended for the quick rant to be a bit of self-deprecation, but it also revealed that Brian wasn't the good friend he claimed to be. Selling Rupert might have been a mistake, but ripping off his friend through DVD sales was another kind of low. Number 6. If you can read this, your TV is upside down. The 2001 episode 1 If by Clam, 2 If by Sea saw a hurricane wipe out most of Quahog, leaving the drunken clam as the only business still standing. Due to the unfortunate times, the bar was sold to an Englishman who converted it into an old world pub to the dismay of Peter, Cleveland Joe, and Quagmire. There were many subtle references and parodies in this episode, but one might have stood out as the most low-key of them all. Swearing he'd fight to return the clam to its original state, Peter transitioned to a cutaway after declaring he only lost one fight in his life. In the segue, Family Guy parodied the 1982 film Tron, having Peter play the role of the Green Racer as he went head-to-head with his former high school friend Eric. As Peter raced as the green guy in the Tron cutaway, a set of upside-down text appeared on the wall for a few moments. It read, "If you can read this, your TV is upside down." Perhaps it wasn't the greatest of all knee slappers, but it did poke fun at some of the show's die-hard fans who were savvy and willing enough to freeze the frame and tilt their heads to see the hidden message. For those who didn't expect any sort of Easter egg, they probably just missed the message completely. Number 5. If you can read this, Family Guy is on the air. 1 If by Clam, 2 If by Sea wasn't the only episode to hide text in the details, as 1 year earlier, a similar gag appeared in the story on page 1. In the episode, Meg Griffin needed to participate in more extracurricular activities before getting into college. She signed up for the high school's newspaper and ultimately exposed Adam West as an incompetent mayor, something the cast somehow overlooked throughout the years. Of course, Peter found the entire paper to be trash before he embarked on a journey to create a more provocative publication. Trying to get the scoop, Peter turned to a copy of TV Guide. The shtick, which hasn't aged well at all, focused on Peter seeing Luke Perry on the cover and deciding to write a slam piece accusing him of being gay. Upon closer inspection though, you can spot text at the magazine's bottom left-hand corner, which read, "If you can read this, Family Guy is on the air." The shot only stayed on the cover for a few seconds, so the text was hard to discern. However, part of the joke was that if you rewatched the episode to find the message, you would be successful as long as the show was, quote, still on the air. It was also a reminder that somehow the show survived against all odds after battling with Fox and the FCC. Number 4. WWID. After getting cancelled by Fox in 2002, Family Guy was welcomed back to the network in 2005. A cancellation might have made any other producer reconsider the more risque content in their shows, but not Seth MacFarlane. He went straight for the censorship kill by spinning a story of a second honeymoon into a hellish endeavor to evade Mel Gibson after Peter stole an unreleased sequel to The Passion of the Christ. In this episode, Family Guy was back to its full form, including many blasphemous jokes. There were plenty of humorous jabs at Gibson's religious film, but the biggest payoff arrived when a sequel trailer played. The bit placed Jesus Christ alongside Chris Tucker in a Rush Hour-like scenario, but one of the more subtle jokes was hidden on the front license plate of Jesus' red sports car. The car zoomed by as Jesus drove it like a loose cannon, but the plate contained the acronym WWID, which is an obvious play on the famous "What Would Jesus Do" slogan. Admittedly, the wordplay was at dad joke level, still it made for great comedic detail and showed that the creators did their best to have fun with even the finest details of their vignettes. Number 3. The Museum from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Many pop culture hits from the 1980s and 1990s were referenced throughout the vast library of Family Guy episodes. In particular, one movie must have been a favorite for Seth MacFarlane, as it was parodied more often than most. The 1986 comedy Ferris Bueller's Day Off was referenced in over a dozen Family Guy segments, but there was one homage that might have been a little less obvious. The 2007 episode entitled The Tan Aquatic with Steve Zissou was chock full of allusions to the hit comedy, such as when Stewie stared at the Sunday afternoon on the island of La Grande Jatte painting. Still, it was the museum itself that held the closest resemblance to the film. When Stewie visited the Art Institute of Chicago, mistakenly called the Chicago Museum of Art, the wide shot of the museum was created to look exactly like a scene from the movie. Whereas Family Guy generally put their own spin on things, this was one instance in which the show recreated a moment directly from a film, paying close attention down to the last detail. It was something worth freezing to compare with the same shot from Ferris Bueller's Day Off to see just how closely the two resemble one another. Number 2. File Not Found. Over time, Family Guy took shots at failed television shows Fox previously expected to be grand successes. One gag the creators favored over the rest parodied the bumper ads Fox used to promote newer or waning shows during more popular programs. Whereas Family Guy generally made fun of Fox by copying the exact styling used for the ads, one particular episode turned the reoccurring playful jab into a sucker punch. During the 2018 episode Married with Cancer, Brian regretted his decision to marry a cancer patient named Jess after she lost her perfect physique and became a little less fun to the Griffin dog. In one scene, Jess collapsed as she choked, and a reluctant Brian attempted to get her help. Sort of. He called 911 hoping to get medical assistance, but instead, a bumper for the show 911 appeared on the TV. Distracted, Brian ranted about how the, quote, media empire expanded when an ad for Empire popped up. The payoff came when Brian requested Son of Zorn. Rather than receive the normal parody, an unexpected image flashed on the screen, reading File Not Found. Brian and viewers familiar with the live-action animated hybrid were tickled by this twist, as it roasted the show for being so short-lived. Although that might have been a bit of a low blow, it wasn't nearly as bad as the fact that Brian tried to let Jess choke to death. Number 1. DVDs paused for headline jokes. Millions disappointed. Fans of Seth MacFarlane's work are accustomed to looking for pause-worthy anecdotes hidden within his adult cartoons. While Family Guy often hid humorous text in the background, as previously seen on this list, its sister show, American Dad, was more commonly associated with a particular gimmick that involved newspaper headlines. As seen during the title sequence of American Dad, Family Guy decided to try out the headline gag for size in the DVD version of the 2005 episode Model Misbehavior. After winning a boat race alongside her family, Lois held up a newspaper that covered the Griffin's victory, with the headline, Lower Middle Class Family Wins Regatta. For the more eagle-eyed viewers who paused the frame on the DVD edition to look at the text closer, their efforts, in a way, weren't all for naught. That didn't mean the joke necessarily satisfied, especially since the onlooker was the butt of it. The creators of Family Guy were well aware of their more observant fans. They decided to rib them by including a smaller headline at the newspaper's bottom right that read, DVDs paused for headline joke. Millions disappointed. Family Guy delivered on the headline bit in its own meta way, but it was up to the viewer to decide whether the headline was funny or slightly insulting. And that's the end of our list. Do let me know down in that comment section if you can think of any moments that you paused Family Guy for. As always, I've been Jess from What Culture. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you like, you can come say hi to me on my Twitter account where I'm at Jess McDonnell, but make sure you stay tuned here for more great content.